And we are live tonight after dark with Rob and Andrew. Andrew, how's it going, man?
Going well, but I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty tired after what we just witnessed there.
You're not the only person who's tired. I think Ted Cruz was tired also, and Joe Manchin. I mean, they were like dozing off, falling asleep, like, okay, I don't want to hear this nonsense. You're going to give away America. You've already destroyed America. And let's just get on with it. But hey, we're live, and we're going to break down that speech as well as Joe Biden's first 100 days that everyone is saying, oh my God, he's done so much. I agree, he's done a lot. He's giving away the country. What do you think? Okay, so I'm going to get quiet real quick, and we're just going to listen to Tim Scott.
I know what it feels like to be pulled over for no reason, to be followed around the store while I'm shopping. I remember every morning at the kitchen table, my grandfather would open the newspaper, read it, I thought. But later I realized he had never learned to read it. He just wanted to set the right example. I've also experienced a different kind of intolerance. I get called Uncle Tom and the N-word by progressives, by liberals. Just last week, a national newspaper suggested my family's poverty was actually privilege because a relative owned land generations before my time. Believe me, I know firsthand our healing is not finished. In 2015, after the shooting of Walter Scott, I wrote a bill to fund body cameras. Last year, after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, I built an even bigger police reform proposal. But my Democratic colleagues blocked it.
Mainly Kamala Harris.
I extended an olive branch. I offered amendments, but Democrats used a filibuster to block the debate from even happening.
Kamala Harris.
My friends across the aisle seem to want the issue more than they wanted a solution. But I'm still working. I'm hopeful that this will be different. When America comes together, we've made
Uh-oh, we're having audio difficulties here, huh?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Tim Scott cut out for a second.
Oh.
They're an oppressor. From colleges to corporations to our culture, people are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all, by doubling down on the divisions we've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country. It's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And it's wrong to try to use our painful past to dishonestly shut down debates in the present.
Exactly.
I'm an African American who's voted in the South my entire life.
Well, I'm a Black
I take
American.
Voting rights personally. Republicans support making it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And so do the voters. Big majorities of Americans support early voting.
That's right.
And big majorities support voter ID, including African Americans and Hispanics. Common sense makes common sense. But today, this conversation has collapsed. The state of Georgia passed a law that expands early voting, preserves no excuse mail-in voting, and despite what the president claimed, did not reduce election day hours. If you actually read this law, it's mainstream. It will be easier to vote early in Georgia than in Democrat-run New York. But the left doesn't want you to know that. They want people virtue signaling by yelling about a law they haven't even read. Fact checkers have called out the White House for misstatements. The president absurdly claims that this is worse than Jim. What is going on here? I'll tell you, a Washington power grab. This misplaced outrage is supposed to justify Democrats' new sweeping bill that would take over elections for all 50 states. It would send public funds to political campaigns you disagree with and make the bipartisan Federal Elections Commission partisan. This is not about civil rights or our racial past. It's about rigging elections in the future. And no, the same filibuster that President Obama and President Biden praised when they were senators, the same filibuster that the Democrats used to kill my police reform bill last year, has not suddenly become a racist relic just because the shoe is now on the other foot. Race is not a political weapon to settle every issue the way one side wants. It's far too important. This should be a joyful springtime for our nation. This administration inherited a tide that had already turned. The coronavirus is on the run. Thanks to Operation Warp Speed and the Trump administration, our country is flooded with safe and effective vaccines. Thanks to our bipartisan work last year, job openings are rebounding. So why do we feel so divided? Anxious. A nation with so much cause for hope should not feel so heavy laden. A president who promised to bring us together should not be pushing agendas that tear us apart.
Yep.
The American family deserves better, and we know what better looks like. Just before COVID, we had the most inclusive economy in my lifetime, the lowest unemployment rates ever recorded for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians, and a 70-year low nearly for women. Wages were growing faster at the bottom than at the top. The bottom 25% saw their wages go up faster than the top 25%. That happened because Republicans focused on expanding opportunity for all Americans. In addition to that, we passed opportunity zones, criminal justice reform, and permanent funding for historically Black colleges and universities for the first time ever.
Obama didn't want to do it.
Epidemic, rebuilt our military, and cut taxes for working families and single moms like the one that raised me. Our best future will not come from Washington schemes or socialist dreams. It will come from you, the American people, Black, Hispanic, white, and Asian, Republican and Democrat, brave police officers in Black neighborhoods. We are not adversaries. We are family. We are all in this together, and we get to live in the greatest country on earth. The country where my grandfather in his 94 years saw his family go from cotton to Congress in one lifetime. So I am more than hopeful. I am confident that our finest hour is yet to come. Original sin is never the end of the story, not in our souls and not for our nation. The real story is always redemption. I am standing here because my mom has prayed me through some really tough times. I believe our nation has succeeded the same way because generations of Americans in their own ways have asked for grace and God has supplied it. So I will close with a word from a worship song that really helped me through this past year of COVID. The music is new, but the words draw from Scripture. May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, in your weeping and your rejoicing. He is for you. May his favor be upon our nation for 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children. Good night, and God bless the United States of America.
You're watching a Washington Post special report. I'm Lee Casey.
I don't want to hear what she has to say. You'll lie anyway. There you have it, folks. I mean, this guy just delivered, I think, a perfect rebuttal to Joe Biden's, I'm giving America away, I'm going to make America weak, and you can't do anything about it. Just shut up and watch me do it. And you know what, Andrew? That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get plugged up here. That's exactly what's happening. Democrats are in control and Republicans, the only thing they can do is just sit and listen. It was, you know what I found remarkable? Just a couple of things. Other than the fact that, Joe was a boring speech, just talked about what he's going to do. And I was the first person to do this, and I was the first person to do that. Okay, sounding like a monkey bragging on his own tail. I was the first. And I said, Madam Vice President, no one else has said this. And, okay, you are, as far as I'm concerned, an illegitimate president because you guys stole the election. And if someone is saying, well, how did they steal the election? Okay, all you have to do is just go back to the article that was written in Times Magazine. They stole the election with big tech. And now we have Arizona that's looking at their numbers. We have Georgia, they're looking at their numbers. The election was stolen. It's unfortunate that Trump's team was unable to put forth a good offense to point this out. I know a lot of people were hoping that the Supreme Court would have stepped in, but the Supreme Court shouldn't decide an election. Mike Pence, he let us down. All he had to do, and I'm laughing about this because we keep talking about it, all he had to do was stand up there on that podium. And when Ted Cruz said, hey, we have an issue, we object to the certification of the votes from the different states, all Mike Pence had to do would say, okay, this is within the constitutional guidelines. We're going to send these votes back to Arizona. We're going to send them back to Ohio, send them back to Pennsylvania. That's all he had to do, and he couldn't do it. Now, again, by him doing that was not to say that he was trying to overthrow the election, but he was allowing the election to follow the constitutional guidelines. But he couldn't do it. He wimped out. Why? Because the left scared him with the so-called, as they say, insurrection on the Hill. It was not a freaking insurrection. Okay, people were mad, they were upset. And when you get mad and upset, we always say protest. What do we tell other countries? What are we telling the people in Iran? What are we telling the people in Venezuela? If you don't like what's happening, overthrow your government. I am not saying to overthrow the United States government. But I am saying we're telling other countries to do that if they think that the elections aren't fair or if they think that their government isn't fair. So why do we think that we're above that? I mean, you really have to think about this. When you look at our history book and you look at what our leaders tell other countries, why are we any different? I mean, seriously. Now, some of you are out there saying, oh, he's saying to overthrow their government. No, I'm not. I'm saying to follow the Constitution. I'm saying to do what we have told other leaders other countries time after time after time. But then when we do it, it's like, oh my God, why did we do that? Oh, this was wrong and you shouldn't have been there. I'm sorry. If this is what you're telling people to do, and when they do it, why aren't you supporting them? Joe Biden was illegitimately elected. John Lewis said it. You have a lot of other Democrats have said it. Hillary Clinton said it. Why can't we say the same thing about Joe Biden? Sleepy Joe, who's giving away the country, who is dividing the country, who is continuing along the lines of Barack Obama and pit us against each other by race, by color, by gender. There is no reason George Floyd's family should have gotten $27 million for what? He wouldn't have made that within his lifetime. What example are we trying to make? Well, we're trying to set an example for Minnesota. Okay, the state goes broke. Then what? $27 million? Are you serious? He's lucky. If I were the judge, he would have gotten $150,000. And then we're going to name laws after him. What laws did we name after Martin Luther King? And what did his family get when he was assassinated? What did they give him? His family went broke. If anyone should get money, if anyone should get any compensation, it should be his family. But no, we're going to give George Floyd, a career criminal, his family $27 million. And the list just goes on as to how much we've given people. This, Andrew, I'm sorry, this is stupid. And then for Joe Biden to mention his name, during the State of the Union address? For what? Okay, what happened to him should not have happened. Hear me clearly. Derek Chauvin, in my opinion, Andrew, I know you disagree.
I was going to say he shouldn't have overdosed. I agree.
Well, yeah, you should have overdosed, but Derek Chauvin, he had his knee on the guy's neck. Now, they say that caused cut off his breathing and whatnot, but it shouldn't have happened. The optics didn't look good at all. Okay. So Derek Chauvin should do some time, maybe 5 years, 6 years, but $27 million, I don't think so. That's just way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
And you want, there will be other people trying to kill a family member, put a hit job on them so that they will get money also. That's just, I'm sorry, that's just too much money.
Yeah, and then I read an article about Louisville, Kentucky today. Remember Breonna Taylor case? Where I think they paid her out something like 17, it was either 13 or 17 million dollars, something crazy.
Yeah,
12, okay, something crazy. And apparently the Louisville Police Department is short on police officers now because over 200 Louisville police officers have quit after the Breonna Taylor incident and the protest in the town. So,
and can you name them?
No,
look
you
at
can't.
Seattle, Washington. There's a shortage on police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And who will suffer? The Black community. But we're marching around saying defund the police. You had this crazy girl the other day who ran over a police, and it's really sad. What is her name? Bouvier something. Bouvier.
Oh, is that the lady that took the video saying "F the police" or something, and then a few minutes later she runs over some police officers?
Yep. Her name was Jessica Bouvier. She's from New York. I think she's from Queens, and she has a podcast. And she was on the podcast saying "fuck the police." Oops, excuse me. F the police. This the police. That police. I'm kind of fired up right now. This
it's
the police.
After dark.
Yeah, it's after dark. And at the same time, her kid apparently came in the room and she was talking to her kid. It was a really tender moment. But this woman has been misguided because she has been taught from the time that she was a kid that the police are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I bet you anything, if someone were to come after her with a knife, the first person she would call is 911. Please have the police to come here. But because the miseducation of our children, that she has this angst against the police. And what does she go out? She does a couple of drinks. She's probably doing some drugs, drinking and driving, doing marijuana, and she runs over a police. 2 lives have been changed. 2 lives were changed yesterday. Jessica's life and the life of that police officer. He leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. I think one kid is 6 and the other kid is probably 4.
Mm-hmm.
They will never get to know their father other than the stories that people will tell them.
And you know what, Rob? When she gets prosecuted and goes to prison for life, we're not going to celebrate like it's some great thing because 2 people's life has been lost.
Absolutely.
And obviously she should go to jail for the rest of her life, but there won't be any celebration on our part.
No, and because it's sad because she has been miseducated. And if I were her attorney, I would suggest that she sues Black Lives Matter and sue Black politicians for indoctrinating all of that hate in her.
Al Sharpton,
Maxine Waters, she should sue them. Because as of lately, the past couple of weeks, that's all they've been hearing. Hate the police, hate the police, hate the police. And the number of police that have died, I don't blame them if they're looking for another job.
Right.
Because of the hate that's out there. And did Joe, during his diatribe, did he at any point in time thank the law enforcement officers? The ones that are his bodyguard, the ones that are guarding he and Dr. Jill Biden? Andrew, this is a very sad day. Joe has been in office for all of 100 days, and he has managed to destroy our standings in the United States. Destroy it, decimate it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me, truthfully, that the rest of the world is looking at this and saying, oh, wow, the United States is back. Oh, yeah, the United States is back to hand out more welfare checks to these countries, to allow these countries to walk all over us. I mean, folks, think about it. He now wants to take money from the rich who's made their hard-earned money and pay for all these social programs that will get us nowhere. How about just creating jobs? Stop taking away jobs.
Yeah,
When he got into office, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's the incentive to get ahead now? It's like you max out at $400,000, and then the government starts taking 50% of your pay almost. It's like you're better off making like $350,000 a year and staying in the smaller tax bracket, from what the way
Right.
he made it sound.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, we can give, and we're going to let the rich, they're going to pay for it. Well, the rich at one point in time, they were poor, they worked hard, and look at where they are. And then for them to say, oh, well, they cheated, they lied. So if they cheated and lied, we need to go after Barack Obama right now because he's cheating and lying for him to be worth almost $150 million. When he came into office, he still has student loans.
Mhm.
And now he's worth $150 million. So did he lie and cheat to get that?
Mhm.
All the book deals?
Rob, were you wondering all night long as Joe Biden was telling us what he's going to do, why didn't Barack Obama do this in 8 years in office? And all of a sudden, Joe Biden's trying to act like everything is President Trump's fault when Obama had 8 years to get a lot of this stuff done that he talked about, and he didn't do any of it.
Well, I'll tell you why he didn't do it, because Barack Obama wasn't concerned about it. I think Barack Obama's whole thing was do my time, get out, and make money. Like he came out one day and lied and said, oh, well, I was thinking about doing reparations to blacks. No, he was not. He said that it didn't make any sense. He said we can do other things besides reparations. And now all at once, oh, I'm for reparations. Forgive me, this guy he lies all the time, and people fall for it. As you always say, Andrew, stand for something or fall for anything. And right now, people are falling for anything. And then that weasel of a reporter, Chris Wallace. The media is definitely enemy of the people. They lie, they cheat, and people believe it. The poll numbers, oh, people like the way Joe is performing. Yeah, because he's giving money away. As long as you're giving money to people, people will love you.
Did you hear Chris Wallace after the speech? Oh, the American people are going to love this speech. Joe Biden did great.
And why wouldn't they? Here he's going to give them this and give them that. I don't like Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is compromised. He's an idiot. I don't watch his show. I don't like listening to him. I think Brit Hume's on Fox News. He's pretty fair and square. He just tells it the way he sees it. But Chris Wallace, in my opinion, is another Juan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And for people to look at him as if though he's some great person, I wonder what the hell are they teaching kids in journalism school?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Because this crap that's put out there right now that's it. It's crap, a bunch of crap. Shame on these journalists.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Brett Baer or Martha McCallum either. The whole Fox News panel tonight was a little underwhelming, other than the girl slips my mind, the younger girl that was on that gave some
I know you're talking about
Katie.
Katie
she did a great job, but I wasn't too impressed with the rest of the panel. I do like Britt Hume. He's all right. He doesn't bother me. But Chris Wallace, Brett Baer, Martha McCallum, I'm just sick of seeing them.
Yeah, well, here's my thing on, what's happening here? On Martha McCallum and Brett Baer. I mean, sometimes they're okay. Other times they're not. I think that's why she got moved from where she is now. She was moved somewhere else as far as the lineup. But, we do need real journalists that are out there. We need some people who are out there that are going to speak the truth and not lie and not sugarcoat it and not try and appease people. Some real hardcore journalism out there. And that's the reason why we decided to come tonight, so that we could dissect this for our viewers. And I can tell you, it's not a lot to dissect other than the fact that Joe Biden is going to run up the deficit with all these freebies, all these social programs. And why? Because of COVID-19, the China virus. It was bad. It was horrible. People were without jobs because the blue states wanted to shut down and not open up. You know why they did it? Because they wanted you people to become dependent upon them. Whereas had they opened up immediately, this wouldn't have happened. And who do we blame? Dr. Fauci. I mean, that's one of the things, and Trump admitted it. He said, I should have fired Dr. Fauci. He should have fired Dr. Fraud, because Dr. Fraud and Dr. Birx, they gave us wrong information with their insidious modeling, which was flawed from day one, he should have been fired. But yet and still, he's still out there stumbling over every lie, and the media is saying nothing about it because they don't want you to know it. Just like with the vaccine. Hear me out about this vaccine. Old knucklehead Joe Biden mentions it, and we're going to get people vaccinated. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And if you're vaccinated, you can come outside. You can take off your mask. I can take off that freaking mask any damn time I want to take it off. Okay. What sense does it make if everyone is vaccinated and I'm not? Okay, then I'll get sick, but you won't get sick. You're vaccinated. But now they want everyone. No, you've got to get vaccinated, and think about it. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Did you see this controversy with Dr. Fauci and Joe Rogan today, where Joe Rogan said something about if you're young and healthy, maybe you shouldn't get the COVID vaccine, and apparently Dr. Fauci went on some rant on Joe Rogan today in response. It's just like, it's crazy. Anytime someone has an opinion that's different from the norm about this vaccine, the liberal media like brings it up to Fauci, like Fauci's going to get him canceled or something like that. Like he's the be all end all of the coronavirus.
Well, Andrew, it really makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense at all. When you really think about it, if you're vaccinated and I'm not, you're good. You're golden. Why are you worried about me being vaccinated?
Mm-hmm. I thought Katie Pavlovic had a great point tonight when she said it definitely showed weakness that everyone there was vaccinated, yet they all had masks on tonight, and it was only like a quarter full, even though everyone that's in the Senate and Congress has been vaccinated. I mean, that could have been a packed house. It would have been the first packed house that Joe Biden's probably ever given a speech in front of. So they should have taken advantage of it, because with that 200, 600 people, whatever it was very low energy.
Very low. And I guess that's the reason why, what's his name, was falling asleep.
Ted Cruz. I was too, man.
Like, I can't take this. It's like,
Mhm.
I can't take this craziness. But you think about it, people. This vaccination, they're trying. I have a friend. You need to get vaccinated. I'm like, look, if you're vaccinated, why are you concerned about me? What is the big deal? I don't get it. What is the freaking big deal? I mean, I'm not afraid of the vaccine, but there are people that don't take the flu shot. And then someone said, well, I don't want to be on the airplane next to someone who has been vaccinated. What kind of sense does that make? You're vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated, you're inoculated. Nothing's going to happen to you. Why is it now that you feel that, well, if I'm next to you, you have to be vaccinated?
And if things keep going the way they've been going under Joe Biden, we might not be allowed on an airplane much longer anyways.
It's stupid if people were to stop and think about it. Okay, think about what they're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
This whole vaccination thing makes absolutely no sense. I am not saying don't get vaccinated, but what I'm saying is people that are worried about everyone else who isn't. If you have your shot, go live your life.
Right.
But did Joe thank Trump for getting the vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, for getting the vaccine out there? No, not at all. And you know why? Because they're jealous. You know why they're jealous of? Because Trump has done more than any of them to turn the country around. And what is Joe doing? He's destroying the country.
And he stole a lot of President Trump's material tonight. Did you notice he said, let's buy American, let's end the forever war in Afghanistan. And he mentioned lowering prescription drug costs, all things that President Trump was adamant about that got little support from the Democrats when he was in office.
Yeah, very little support. And, I was thinking about something else, Andrew, about, there are only two living presidents, former presidents that are Republicans. George W. and Donald Trump. And because Trump was such a success in what he accomplished during his time, W. Bush is doing his darnest to try to discredit the Trump administration, along with the Democrats. When you think of Bush, you think of the Iraqi war. And everyone said he failed on it. He should never done it. So he knows that that's a stain on his presidency. So what is he doing? He's helping the Democrats destroy Trump's legacy, to destroy Trump's presidency. Because he wants to be the only person, Republican, living president, that people can refer to and say, well, I don't know what he did. And it's really shameful that he's not man enough to just stand up and say, Trump did a good job. None of them are. They're afraid to give Trump that credit. And why? Because they're jealous that he actually lowered unemployment to the lowest levels ever. And no one ever wants to talk about that. They'll say, oh, well, Barack Obama did this. No, Barack Obama didn't do jack crap. The only thing he did was to divide us and put hate in the hearts of people when it came to the police. I was listening to someone the other day and they were saying, not that I agree with them, but they were saying, all of these new laws that they're talking about, the COVID Asian hate law, and you have the law for, LGBTQ, hate law for them. And he said, and for them to keep saying Black Lives Matter, why haven't they done like a African American or Black hate law? I'm like, wow, that's deep. They keep telling Black people that we love you, but they're yet to put forth any significant laws. Not that they need to, because I think once you have a law, the law covers everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you start creating all these subsets of laws, that's when things get muddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it is interesting when you think about it, Andrew. It is interesting that they keep telling Black people your lives matter, but no one has put up a legislation to say we want to put up the Black Lives law, so that people will know it.
Let's
They've done it with the Asians.
not give them any ideas, Rob.
No, yeah, we don't want any ideas. I seriously doubt that they'll do it. But it's just interesting how, this group of people that has been so marginalized that they keep telling them that they're oppressed and they don't do diddly squat for them. But now we're going to put forth a George Floyd law. George Floyd, a two-bit criminal. George Floyd, who held a gun and a pregnant woman. George Floyd, who was on drugs. George Floyd, who's just, the system failed him. The system being the Democrat system. We want to do a law for George Floyd. So they're going to immortalize him in history.
He changed the world.
Changed the world how? Really? Yeah, he changed the world by getting $27 million. His family got $27 million, which, again, that's just too much. But what else did he do? And there's no law on the books for Martin Luther King. Think about this, Black people. Think about this, my white libertarians. Think about this, my white liberal friends or listeners. Think about this, because you guys are always on the forefront of wanting to make everything even and fair. But what exactly are you doing besides creating more drama for the country, more division for the country, for the races? You're not being inclusive, because if you're trying to tear down the white man in order to build up the Black man, eventually that white man is going to get tired. And he's going to fight back. What happens when you corner a wild dog? That dog gets mad and he strikes out. So all these people that you're now trying to marginalize, you're trying to put in the corner, eventually this is going to be it's a keg that's going to explode.
You know what?
Oops, go ahead.
I was just
Who's the fault? Who do we blame?
Yeah.
We blame these liberal white people, these Black politicians that are trying to ramrod all these crazy ideas that Blacks are being oppressed and we've got to do this and the police are after Blacks. When you look at the numbers, more whites are shot by the police than Blacks. But why is it that Black people just can't stop when the police says stop? What don't you understand? Why do you feel it necessary to fight the police? And this whole thing with, well, we've got to have the conversation with our sons and no one else has to have that conversation. No, other people are telling their kids the same thing. If you're stopped by the law enforcement, you need to stop and be quiet. If they stop you, don't get flippant. Don't try to run away. Listen. But only Black people feel as if though they're Superman or Superwoman and I'm going to run and I'm going to fight back. I'm going to do this. Well, you do it at your own peril. Okay? You do it at your own peril. And that's what we see nonstop. And then when you do get a situation like in South Carolina, when the white guy Dylan Flood, I think, went into the AME church and killed the people, and you have black people who will say, well, they didn't kill him. You know why they didn't kill him? Because when they told him, son, put down your gun or we're going to light your arse up, he put down the freaking gun. Black people don't do that. They want to take the gun out. They want to shoot. They want to take a knife out. They want to take out a cocktail. So that's the difference. When you see these white people that are being taken in alive, they listen. Black people don't listen. A majority of them don't listen. Now, I'm not saying that it's right what happens, but it's like, my God, this police wants to go home just like the black person wants to go home. And if you're going to try to fight, resist being arrested, I mean, look at what's going to happen. Devontae Wright, all he had to do was sit his ass down and let them handcuff him and go to jail. But no, he wants to try to fight the police. No, I don't know what was going through the officer's mind. She thought she had her gun. I mean, her taser, she had her gun. But here's a question that I have. Why would she want to kill him? She didn't know if he was black or white. The guy was mixed. Why would she want to kill him? Because we keep hearing that they want to kill black people. Why would she possibly want to kill him knowing that there's going to be a complete uprise over it?
She didn't. It's propaganda.
Bingo. I like the way you said it. It's propaganda.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, you know what I'd like to see from a certain percentage of the black population if Joe Biden puts in these taxes where he takes almost 50% of people making over $400,000. I'd like to see these wealthy black people making over $400,000 a year, all the way up to these rich athletes, and say, this isn't right that you're oppressing me, taking half of what I've earned and I've worked for, and it's not right that it's happening to my white friends or my Mexican friends or my Asian friends. Stealing money from people who have earned it is not right.
Absolutely not right. It's not right at all.
Yeah.
So why would you want people to take your money, take someone else's money to give to you?
I'd love to see them turn that around on the Democrats about how they're always talking about how black people can't make it in America. I'd like to hear the black people that actually have made it in America speak up about these taxes. And that's another thing that really got to me about this speech tonight was Joe Biden talked about the tax cuts increase the debts. If Joe Biden's or President Trump's tax cuts increase the debts, if President Trump did not have to sign these horrible budgets every single year that he objected to, with tons of foreign aid for all these other countries that the Democrats wouldn't budge on. I mean, he even shut down our government one year because the budget was so bad. And that was the reason for the debt, not because of the tax cuts. The government is spending too much.
Right. Well, you know what's going to happen. I mean, the Democrats, along with the complicit media, they're going to spin this thing that, this is Trump's fault that the deficit is out of whack and because he did this and he did that. No, this is Joe. Joe is creating all these social programs. He's giving a lot of our money to the illegal aliens that are coming here to create additional social programs. And the comment that you made a while ago about the blacks that are making $400,000 and up, well, you know what they're going to do. They're going to go overseas and put their money in all these tax havens so they could, skirt around the issues. So while we're saying we're going to tax them, well, they're going to be smart enough and say, well, hey, that's fine. I'll just create all these LLCs overseas,
right,
and all these tax havens so that you can't get my money.
Yep, rich people are always a step ahead, huh?
Right. But Andrew, what's so deafening is that it's the blue states that do this crazy stuff. Blue states. All the violence and the riots take place in blue states. It's their policies. And here Joe Biden comes again with more policies that will affect blue states because rich people will leave, the police will leave, and then you're stuck with these laws that are on the book that will affect the people that are at the bottom of the barrel. And who is it? Poor people, black people, brown people. And yes, some white people are affected also. But they don't care when white people are affected. They're only concerned about the black people. But they will be affected by this. I mean, when you look at everything that he's saying.
Well, they pretend they're concerned about the black people, but they're not really concerned about them either.
Right. They pretend they're concerned.
The Democrats, that is, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. They would do something about it. But Andrew, do you not find interesting that all of this, I'm just going back to the whole George Floyd and Dante Wright and Breonna Taylor, and then this other guy that they said got killed in North Carolina, Rayshon Brooks, and all of these towns or cities are blue. They created these policies. And something else that the media has not pointed out is that Dante Wright and George Floyd, the mayors of both of the towns, were supposed to be up and coming. I think the mayor where Dante Wright was killed is a black guy. And I remember them writing up a big piece, oh, he's this and he's that, and he's going to do this and do that. Well, I would think that once you took office, that you would start looking at your police force and say, wait a minute, or do we have issues here? Do we have problems? But no, and no one has pointed it out, that these were up and coming mayors. Look at the mayor where George Floyd. Up and coming mayors. Look at Seattle. And they're all Democrats. You hardly ever have this in red states where there is a governor or a mayor in the city or town. You don't see this. It's always in these blue cities and towns that we have these issues. That's a big problem because they're the ones who are setting the policies. And what they're doing right now in Minnesota and Seattle, defund the police. Okay, you defund the police and look at what's happening. Crime is up. Look at New York City. Every weekend, every day just about, someone is being killed. Now, our crazy mayor, de Blasio, he's blaming, the COVID-19, and now people are getting out and people are just angry. I mean, that's ridiculous. And to believe that you're saying that human beings are vicious animals, that when we're locked up, when we finally come out, we just want to attack and we just want to fight. No, that's not true. What it is that criminals now know that, hey, we don't have to obey the law. And if we do, we're going to get out. That's what's happening. And again, blue cities and towns. People, please look at this because those are the policies that have failed you. It's not white people that have failed you. And if they are the liberal whites that have created these laws or lack of laws that aren't protecting you. Think about it. Just look at it. Look at every town and city. Who is at the top? Democrats. It's as simple as that. And now you have Joe who's over the entire country now. And what is Joe doing? Oh, well, our boy Joe, he's going to create more social programs. Our boy Joe is going to probably look at, when they say defund the police, well, the police will leave and then they won't put any money toward that budget because they'll say, well, we have no police. It will be hard to find good cops. And what happens? The bad cops come in and then they're so overworked and tired that they're going to do whatever they need to do to survive. Think about it logistically. Think about it. They are destroying you. They are your worst enemies. Joe doesn't care about you. He's just creating more havoc, more division. I don't get it, Andrew. I really don't. I don't know why people aren't awoke and looking at this.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I think we've covered just about everything. You got anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No, I mean, what's done is done. What's said is said. And we'll see what happens, with Joe's crazy agenda, how he will keep, doing what he's doing. But I will say this in conclusion. Tonight was a circus. It was a complete circus. Joe was the head clown. Kamala was the backup clown. And Nancy Pelosi was the court jester. And all the other people on the outside were just as nutty as they want to be because they know that, hey, the money is coming. We're now a welfare state. And you watch, mark my word, things will not get better. They will get worse. So in a way, I want Trump to run again. And when he comes in, I want him just to undo everything that Joe's done. Just one more thing. You said, I have anything else to talk about. I want to talk about Rudy Giuliani. Yes, hell yeah. Rudy Giuliani. Look at what they're doing to him. The feds. Why are they going in, confiscating his laptop, his phone, over some Ukrainian thing, and he didn't file as a foreign agent, whereas Rudy said, "Hey, here's a laptop with information on Hunter Biden." I didn't know there's kiddie porn, and the Fed said, "Oh, we don't want that."
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Supposedly,
believe it?
supposedly it was his own niece.
Oh my God. Can you believe it? And now he's going to be teaching at Tulane University. He got a book deal. He'll be teaching at Tulane University. I don't know where the heck, what's his name, John Durham is. He's just out to pasture somewhere. And I got to say this before I go. You know, I was always a fan of William Barr, Bill Barr. Bill Barr was a sorry excuse for an attorney general. The only thing he wanted to do was just to restore, I guess, the grandeur of the Justice Department. But other than that, he had to have known all this stuff was going on, and he looked the other way. So he talked a big talk, but when it really came down to it, he was afraid. So Bill Barr, shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah, well said, Rob. Well, I guess you guys can join us. Well, I know you guys can join us every single Monday through Friday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 in the West on America Out Loud.
Yes, that's the new platform, America Out Loud.
You can find that on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, just tons of other audio apps, just about anything you can think of, more than I'd ever even heard of. You can find America Out Loud. You can also go to the website, americaoutloud.com, and find our recent string of shows.
Yes, we're there, AmericanOutloud.com. Come there, share it. If you're on social media, share it on all the platforms. Do tell your friends, because that's how we're going to get our name out there. That's how we're going to get this news out there, is by you sharing on your social media accounts and then telling other people to watch it, to listen to us, even if for like a couple of minutes, and give us your feedback. You know, give us a commentary, because the more we get, the more we're able to build up the platform, and we're able to bring you quality analysis, no host barred. And again, it's after dark, so we're free to have a little fun with it. Okay, so hey, come out there and support us.
Yep, and we will see you guys soon. Like we said, find us on iHeartRadio, and we will be back on YouTube at least on Mother's Day, maybe before then. We'll see how things shake out. If any major breaking news happens, we are bound to be back.
Absolutely. Have a good night.